on a cold November evening in Toronto. Detective Karen Barker, known for her sharp mind, receives a call that will change everything. The city's heiress, Clare Hudson, has gone missing, and this case feels far darker than a typical kidnapping. The disappearance of poor Clare. Karen stood silently by the window of her apartment, watching as the rain traced thin lines down the glass. Outside, the night was heavy with a somber calm, echoing the restlessness that churned within her. Dressed in a black tailor jacket and gray sweater, her dark jeans and worn boots spoke of practicality rather than style. Her dark hair was tied back in a low bun, revealing sharp brown eyes that had seen too much. Those eyes held a rare weariness, a reflection of years spent pursuing shadows. Tonight, though, the soft notes of jazz drifted through the room, mingling with the dim light, casting a sense of peace over the small space, filled with books, case files, and the familiar comfort of her solitude. A single late evening scene inside a softly lit room. She sits at a neatly organized desk, coffee cup in hand, absorbed in stacks of case files spread before her. The air is calm, reflecting her preference for quiet and control. Suddenly, her phone buzzes on the table, interrupting the stillness. She glances up, her expression a mix of surprise and apprehension, realizing this call will shatter her predictable routine. Karen glanced at the caller ID. It read only unknown, making her hesitate for a split second. She was used to anonymous tips and calls, but something about this one felt different. Detective Barker, the voice on the other end, was urgent, tinged with fear. "This is Clare Hudson's family. She's gone missing. We need your help." Karen's pulse quickened. Clare Hudson. The name alone carried weight. A 28-year-old heiress to a multi-million-dollar fortune. Clare was not only known for her wealth, but also her beauty, grace, and influence in Toronto's socialite circles. Her disappearance, just hours before an extravagant gala, had already sent shockwaves through the city. The press was abuzz, rumors swirling, meant to announce a major charity initiative, with an undercurrent of something more sinister. This wasn't just a simple missing person case. Karen could feel it. Karen stepped out into the rain, the cold droplets clinging to her coat as she pulled it tight and slipped into her boots. The streets glistened under the streetlights as she drove, the rhythmic swish of the windshield wipers barely audible over her racing thoughts. The Hudson estate loomed ahead, its grandeur shadowed by the mystery of Clare Hudson's disappearance. Was this just a ransom ploy, or did something darker hide beneath Clare's perfect, privileged life? As Karen stepped out of the car and approached the front doors, she was met by Clare's mother, Margaret Hudson, a tall, elegant woman in her late 50s, her silver hair neatly styled. Her face, usually an expression of refined composure, was now filled with worry. Margaret led Karen inside, her heels clicking on the polished marble floors as they entered the grand foyer. The mansion's interior was just as grandiose as its exterior. Rich mahogany furniture, towering bookshelves, and priceless paintings adorning every wall. The smell of fresh flowers, mixed with a faint hint of something older, perhaps a distant memory of long-forgotten secrets. The house felt almost too perfect, too pristine, but Karen's instincts told her this picture-perfect facade hid a much darker story. "Detective Barker," Margaret said, her voice shaky but controlled. "Thank you for coming so quickly. She was supposed to attend the gala tonight, but she never showed. There's no sign of her, and we've tried everything. I'm sure she's just gone off somewhere. to clear her head, right?" Karen asked, trying to keep her voice calm. She had seen families struggle to deal with the reality of a missing loved one, often clinging to hope that it was all some kind of misunderstanding. But she had a sinking feeling in her gut that told her this wasn't just a misunderstanding. Margaret paused for a moment, as though trying to summon the words, before shaking her head, slowly. "No, detective. That's not like Claire. She wouldn't do that. Especially not on a night like this. Her absence doesn't make sense." Just as Karen was about to ask more, a voice from behind them interrupted Detective Barker. "I assume." A tall, well-dressed man appeared from the doorway, his gaze fixed sharply on Karen. He was in his early 40s with dark, neatly combed hair, and a face that had been molded by wealth and privilege. This was Stephen Hudson, Claire's father and the patriarch of the family. "Yes, I'm here to help." "I hope so," Stephen said, his voice tight, his eyes darting nervously, as though he had something to hide. "I'm afraid this may be more complicated than you realize." Claire had connections. Some of them, let's say, aren't exactly the kind of people we want to get involved in this. She had a few enemies. Karen's interest peaked, but before she could ask more, she was led to Claire's study, where the last traces of her presence lingered. On the desk was a half-finished cup of tea, a luxury leather-bound journal, opened to a page marked with a cryptic message. "The truth lies where the clock stops ticking." Karen's pulse quickened. The message was strange, and she immediately noticed the faint outline of a broken pocket watch. Lying next to it, the hands frozen, at 11:59. The same time Karen realized, as the moment Claire had last been seen. Her mind raced. There was more to Clare Hudson's disappearance than anyone could have imagined, and Karen Barker was going to uncover every last detail. Karen stood in Claire's study, looking at the broken pocket watch on the desk. Its engraved details glinted in the light, and its hands were stuck at 11:59. Next to it, Claire's journal lay open with the strange message. "The truth lies where the clock stops ticking." Karen couldn't shake the feeling that the watch held an important clue about Claire's disappearance. This wasn't just a regular missing person case. Someone had carefully planned it, and was leaving confusing clues for her to follow. "Is everything all right?" Margaret Hudson's voice broke through Karen's thoughts. She had entered the room quietly, her eyes wide with worry, and Karen could tell that the cracks in the family's polished exterior were starting to show. "I'm fine," Karen replied, her voice steady, despite the growing unease in her chest. "I just need a moment to process this watch. It's important. Whoever took Claire wants us to find it, but I can't yet understand why." Margaret's face went pale, but before she could respond, Stephen Hudson walked in, his brow furrowed with concern. "Has she found something?" he asked, his voice tight with tension. Karen nodded toward the pocket watch on the desk. "It's a clue, but I need to speak with everyone who was here last night. Family, staff, friends, anyone who might have seen Claire or knows where she went. Can you make that happen?" Stephen hesitated for a moment, clearly uncomfortable, before agreeing. "Of course, but Claire was a free spirit, and she may have had some questionable associates. You might not get the answers you expect." Karen met his eyes firmly. "I don't expect anything, I just want the truth. The story isn't over yet." Next chapter unfolds soon. The Hudson estate was filled with secrets. Detective Karen interviewed the staff about Clare Hudson's disappearance, but no one gave her useful information. Tension in the house hinted that more was being hidden. Karen spoke to Claire's brother Lucas, who claimed he knew nothing. His calm and confident demeanor made Karen suspicious. Before she could dig deeper, the housekeeper, Margaret, interrupted with new evidence. In Claire's room, they found letters with warnings, each signed with a symbol of a clock stuck at 11:59. Margaret said Claire had been keeping secrets about someone, but she didn't know who it was. Karen learned that Claire was part of a secret group that collected rare artifacts. Victor Crane, who was obsessed with watches, was connected to Claire. He told Karen that Claire had discovered a dangerous secret linked to a special watch. Karen discovered Claire was involved in an underground society of artifact collectors. Victor Crane, obsessed with timepieces, was linked to Claire. He told Karen that Claire had found a dangerous secret connected to a rare watch. Karen and Marcus tracked down Thomas Delaney, another society member. Delaney revealed that the watch was tied to a long, hidden treasure connected to the Hudson and Blackwood families. Karen disarmed Delaney, taking the watch and uncovering the truth. The treasure and watch were part of a hidden family legacy, though the case was solved. But the secrets would haunt Karen for years. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.